They told you World War III would begin with bombs. But what if I told you it's already underway through tweets, trade deals, and factory relocations? While most of the world sleeps, a geopolitical chess match is unfolding in Asia, and it's anything but subtle. Apple's sudden move to India wasn't just economic. It triggered alarms in Beijing. What followed? A chain reaction of military drills, cyber attacks, and secret alliances that the media barely whispers about. This isn't a regional dispute. This is a proxy war in disguise, fueled by crumbling corridors, nuclear posturing, and a silent race to control the next global order. And at the heart of it all, India, caught between ambition and aggression. You're about to uncover the shocking link between tech giants, shadow diplomacy, and the razor's edge of a territorial conflict that could spiral into a firestorm. Most won't believe this until it's too late, but you will. While most people see India's tensions with its neighbors as just another border scuffle, the truth runs far deeper, straight into the realm of modern proxy war. China isn't sending tanks, it's launching narratives. Through cleverly planted stories and manipulated footage on social media, China paints India as the aggressor. This psychological chessboard isn't just about territorial conflict. It's about influencing global sympathy while shielding Pakistan's covert actions, including support for cross-border militancy. It's the kind of invisible war most never see coming until it's too late. But if you trace the digital fingerprints, you'll notice something chilling. Synchronized patterns of disinformation timed perfectly after every Indian military response. The goal? Create division, weaken trust, and make the international community question India's intent. This form of soft power is potent, especially when paired with long-term strategies like the Belt and Road. And while people focus on skirmishes, the real war plays out in minds and markets. Stick around, because what comes next might just shift your entire view of the region. Oh, and before we dive deeper, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because what you're about to learn isn't in the headline. China didn't respond with bullets. It launched a cinematic spectacle. Digital platforms were flooded with recycled war footage dressed up as real-time PLA operations. Claims of Indian casualties? Fabricated. Strategic infrastructure under threat? Exaggerated. It's an illusion campaign meant to rattle both soldiers and civilians, pushing fear into every corner of the Indian discourse. Imagine being in a chess game where your opponent uses smoke and mirrors instead of knights and bishops. China's propaganda blitz doesn't just aim at India. It's a global PR campaign crafted to justify any future escalation. These digital theatrics are part of a much bigger playbook designed to distract the world, while physical strategies unfold quietly in regions like the Shakgam Valley. The pieces are moving fast, too fast for most to notice. The Shakgam Valley, often overlooked on a map, is a sliver of land with power-packed consequences. It's more than just rugged terrain. It's a chessboard for the China-Pakistan alliance, stitched together through disputed treaties and opaque ambitions. This valley isn't just symbolic. It sits at the convergence of interests that connect territorial conflict with billion-dollar investments from the Belt and Road Initiative. Through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, Beijing has turned disputed geography into lifelines of commerce. The Shakgam deal allowed China to establish not just roads, but influence, surveillance, and military leverage. And while India calls it a violation of sovereignty, Beijing calls it strategy. One thing's for sure. The next move in this high-stakes game won't be made with ink on treaties. It'll be boots on mountain passes. And if you think this is intense, wait until you see what's at stake in the next region over. China didn't pour over $60 billion into Pakistan just for goodwill. It was a master plan to escape its maritime bottleneck. The China-Pakistan alliance sought to secure trade through strategic infrastructure, like the Gwadar port, giving China direct access to the Arabian Sea while bypassing the Strait of Malacca, a choke point vulnerable to U.S. and Indian control. But here's the catch. Pakistan's internal chaos now threatens the entire operation. The Belt and Road isn't just concrete and cranes. It's China's future wrapped in asphalt. If Pakistan collapses, China loses more than roads. It loses its grip on influence across South Asia and the Middle East. This would cripple its access to energy corridors, destabilize CPEC, and send shockwaves through China's entire foreign investment model. And just when China thought it could anchor itself through infrastructure, the ground beneath it begins to shake. When Apple manufacturing started moving to India, it wasn't just a business decision. It was a geopolitical earthquake. For China, it was a red flag that its dominance was slipping. Almost immediately, India faced a spike in Pakistan-based terrorism, leading to whispers that this was no coincidence. The message was loud and clear. Foreign investors would not be welcome in a destabilized India. But Apple didn't back down. In fact, it doubled down on India, sparking both celebration and anxiety across global markets. Beijing knew this wasn't just about iPhones. It was about narrative control, global trust, and economic positioning. A dent in China's factory wall is a crack in its soft power. The question now isn't whether companies will leave China. It's how far they'll go once they see India standing tall amidst the pressure. Picture a map with red arrows pointing from both west and east. This is China's alleged strategy. By teaming with Pakistan, they could initiate a pincer assault on India, from Gilgit-Baltistan and Aksai Chin. Their dream targets? The Siachen Glacier, key airstrips, and terrain that controls altitude, visibility, and future negotiation power. This isn't just military theory. It's a scenario that's played out in simulation drills. These regions aren't randomly chosen. They align perfectly with both nuclear escalation pathways and strategic infrastructure goals. A synchronized two-front assault would stretch India's defenses and test its political endurance. But India isn't caught off guard. It's been fortifying precisely where China expects weakness. China's biggest bet is a familiar tactic: provoke proxy war while pushing this. Historically, this strategy has fractured empires. But this time, India has been prepared. It's reinforced its borders in Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh, deployed advanced systems, and forged closer ties with Western powers watching this drama unfold. The goal isn't just to weaken India. It's to protect the Belt and Road, ensure trade corridors, and validate the China-Pakistan alliance on a global stage. But war is never surgical. The fallout spreads, alliances tighten, and risks spiral out of control. And as we'll see next, even Bangladesh may not remain neutral for long. Let's talk about the Siliguri Corridor, also known as the Chicken's Neck. This narrow stretch is India's Achilles heel. If severed, northeast India would be completely cut off. With Bangladesh's pro-China tilt after regime shifts, analysts fear it could become a silent player in a bigger proxy game. India is not blind to the risk. It has deployed S-400s, Rafale jets, and strengthened surveillance in the region. But geography doesn't change, and the strategic vulnerability remains. If anything happens here, it's not just India that loses, it's regional stability that crumbles. The corridor is a fuse, and there's too much gunpowder surrounding it. Every war game runs into one word that no strategist wants to say out loud: nuclear. With Pakistan's ambiguous doctrine and China's limited war narrative, the line between posturing and apocalypse is razor thin. Once tensions escalate beyond a threshold, doctrines become dust, and reflexes take control. The world doesn't realize how dangerously close this scenario already is. One misread, radar blip, one false flag operation, and the dominoes could fall faster than any diplomat can respond. If China pushes too far, global backlash, sanctions, and isolation would follow. But the scariest part? Everyone pretends this isn't already simmering. A full-blown conflict wouldn't stay confined to Asia. It would torch trade corridors, shatter tech supply chains, and spook investors from Shanghai to Silicon Valley. India would shift decisively toward Western alliances, accelerating the economic decoupling China fears most. Apple manufacturing was just the beginning. Imagine what a regional war would trigger. Oil routes through the Arabian Sea would be choked. Ports funded by the Belt and Road would face blockades. And countries around the world would have to pick a side fast. This isn't just about geopolitics anymore. It's about who controls the future of global stability and who gets left behind in the ruins. So now you know, this wasn't just about India or China or even Apple. It was about the hidden strings that move the world while most people are too distracted to look up. You just tapped into a layer of geopolitics that only a handful truly understand. Let me ask you, how many of your friends know what the Shakgam Valley really means, or why the Siliguri Corridor could change global history overnight? What other tiny stories like this are shaping the fate of entire nations without ever making the front page? That's the kind of knowledge that sets smart people apart. The ones who succeed don't just react, they anticipate. And you just did. If you enjoyed this insight and want to keep sharpening your mind with the truths behind the headlines, subscribe now and turn on notifications. The next revelation could be even bigger, and trust me, you won't want to miss it.